One of the biggest stories today relates to the Pandora papers leaked to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. It's a network of reporters and media organizations around the world. Now, the journalist network have gone through millions of confidential files which exposes illicit financial and offshore dealings. The document mentions past and current politicians, including Kenya's Uhuru Kenyatta and 3 Ghanaian politicians. Now, let's go onto the telephone now and speak to Emmanuel Dugbevi, who is a Ghanaian journalist who belongs to this international consortium of investigative journalists who worked on this Pandora papers. Mr. Dugbevi, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. So, tell us about how these Ghanaians, the 3 politicians whose names we're yet to know, have been mentioned in there. How exactly did they get in there, and what was the expose specifically? Hello, Mr. Dugbevi, can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Your line is faint.
Hello, is it better now?
It's a little better now, yes.
Great. I was asking about how these Ghanaians, the 3 Ghanaian politicians who have been mentioned there, got in there, and what exactly were they mentioned to have done specifically in this report?
Well, as you might have read the ICIJ reports, only 35 of them have been mentioned. And I do not think that all the 35 have their details published. So there is an infographic which has listed how many politicians from each country across the world have been found in the leaks. But that is all ICIJ wants the world to know now. And therefore, there are no details. If you go on the ICIJ website now and you click on the active infograph, and you click on the map of Ghana, you only see the number 3. And that's it. That's all ICIJ has put out for now. And therefore, you won't get any details about these 3 politicians as I speak to you.
So, for those who are not familiar, uninitiated, explain why this Pandora papers is important.
Yes, the Pandora papers is extremely important in the face of increasing impunity across the world and a seeming breakdown of law and order, where when you look at the state of illicit financial flows across the world, it does appear that authorities are either looking on or are active participants. And therefore, illicit financial flows, which have a threat, poses a huge threat to democracy and stability in a lot of countries, don't seem to be efficiently curtailed. Looking at the continent of Africa, Africa loses approximately $75 billion to illicit financial flows. And if you look at how much leaves the continent, and compare it to how much the continent receives in international aid, the continent loses as much as 3 times or more than it receives in international aid. So effectively, what that means is that if African countries are able to curtail illicit financial flows of this nature, where powerful people in power, people in authority, whose duty it is to ensure that money laundering, illicit financial flows are curtailed, are themselves actively participating in it, it tells you how much Africa as a continent is losing. And you look around you in Ghana, look at the problems of housing, look at the problems of joblessness, look at the problems of our medical health institutions, no bed syndrome. How much do we need to have efficient working hospitals? All these monies are being lost to illicit financial flows. And that is what makes Pandora papers extremely important and relevant to us. Whether Ghanaians are mentioned in it or not, it should be extremely important to us because it's an activity that is affecting the entire world. And you would also notice that among the leaks are criminals, murderers, people who are wanted for grievous crimes, people who are not supposed to be involved in official or public activities. They are also moving monies around. So if people can move money into the shadow economy in tax havens, what it means is that powerful and dangerous people have access to enormous amount of wealth, and that can threaten our stabilities as nations and our democracies.
I really appreciate your time and also the work you're doing with your international consortium partners as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Gbevi.